Fear is awful. I don't know about you, but there are so many different things that have happened in my life, or I was afraid it was going to happen, that has caused a lot of fear then, now, and then maybe even fear of the future. But not only that, because of those fears, they also kind of like created some self doubt, because if I'm afraid that something's going to happen, then sometimes what ends up happening is that I doubt myself and what I'm hearing, what I'm thinking, what I know to do, and all the things. And so today we're going to talk about how to overcome fear and self doubt. So, welcome back to my channel where you are getting all things business, marketing, and life as a business owner. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and hit subscribe on the channel and then hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every single time we have an episode. We have a new one that comes out every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So today we're talking about overcoming fear and self-doubt. And I don't know about you, but I have dealt with fear in pretty much every area of my life more times than I care to admit. Now, you are watching me here on YouTube, so I may not seem like I have any kind of fear. Well, I always like to tell people that having a big personality and building a business, specifically online, does not mean that fear does not happen to me. It just means that I have chosen to potentially act in spite of my fears, which is what has happened with me on video, creating a channel on YouTube, and then just creating a brand called Keenya. So I deal with fear and self-doubt just like everybody, just like you. And I want to tell you just like what are some of my secrets for how I overcome when I'm experiencing fear and when I experience self-doubt. Okay. So when it comes to fear, like, I'm a Jesus girl and, we're supposed to have faith and all the things. But here is what I personally believe. I feel like that if you look in the Bible and it's talking to us about faith so much, I feel like it's doing that because God knew that we were going to deal with a lot of fear, a lot of things in this life. And so he's inviting us on a regular basis to have faith, to walk in faith or whatever, right? But outside of religion, so to speak, like when you're dealing with fear, like we literally have two options, right? We can do nothing because of the fear, or we can act in spite of the fear. Now, I know that sounds like a little like motivational phrase, but it's the truth. We can do this or that. And when I think about not acting because of the fear, I'm like, I can relate to it. Like okay, if you know the potential of something bad that could happen, who would walk into that, right? Who would go and move to Alaska if you are afraid of snow? Hello, right? Who would move to a different country or a foreign country if you had the fear of not knowing the language and then something bad happening to you, right? Or who would walk down a dark alley late at night without a cell phone by yourself if you, like, when you think about what could happen down that dark alley? Nobody. Nobody would want to do that because we're like, here is this thing I want to do or potentially need to do, but if I do it, this could happen, right? The average person, even the most faith-filled person, does not want to walk down a dark alley or walk into something that could be catastrophic. Nobody, in the words of Keith Sweat, nobody, like for real, you know what I mean? And so when somebody is dealing with fear of what could happen, I'm like, of course, you should have a mind that says, hello, this could happen. You should be fully aware of what could happen from a bad standpoint, right? That is called being wise, not like having rose-colored lenses and never thinking that anything bad could happen. You should be aware, okay? Now, what also should happen is, in addition to what we know that could happen bad, we have to go, okay, but what good could happen? So if you move to a foreign country and you don't know the language, you could learn the language. You could connect with amazing people really quickly and then them help you learn the language and be there for you and all the things. When you think about going down that dark alley, what that could do is that could get you home faster. Instead of you walking all the way around in the dark anyway, cutting through that alley could actually get you to your destination faster because you can see it at the end of that alley. And so you could like be like Flojo. You can be like Sha'Carri Richardson and just go for it, right? And get yourself to the end of that dark alley. And next thing you know, you're home, right? And so every time I think about fears, right? So as of right now, you're watching this video and I just had a major surgery, okay? So I'm currently recovering. I recorded this video weeks ago and I had fears around this surgery. I had fears around, like the catheter being put in, fears around them putting a thing in my throat, fears around being cut, fears around all types of things, right? Just when it came to having this particular surgery. And, there's a part of me like multiple times, like multiple, I don't mean like 5, I mean like a lot, that was just like, maybe I shouldn't do this because of da 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 da, right? Like this just real, right? And I didn't want to go through it, but I had to keep talking to myself. I had to keep going, okay, this is very real. You could have some pain when you come out of surgery. You could have this and all this could happen. That is true. But what also could happen is you could talk to the nurses and say, hey, can you put me out before you put a catheter in because that's going to hurt? Can you tell me how to prepare my throat for making sure that like when I come out that I feel good or whatever, you know what I mean? I could just have like lots of conversations with my doctor, with the nurses and all the things, and then pray over myself and let other people pray over me, so I just have peace, right? And so what I decided to do prior to this surgery was like, be honest about what could happen and, good and not so good. And then I had conversations with people that have had the surgery. I have conversations with nurses, with my doctor, with my nurses, and just all the things to help me just deal with the fear that I was dealing with. The fear was still there, but it gave me a little more like peace about it when I was just like going, okay, I was allowing myself to feel those feelings and not act like I didn't have those feelings, right? But also, when I think about some fears is I've had fear of failing in business because back in the day when I was in network marketing, there's a little picture of me on stage in network marketing. When I was in network marketing, I have had a lot of success and I've had a lot of failure. And I was very apprehensive about getting started in business again because I did not want to fail again. And one of the first businesses that I started after failing multiple times was I got back into network marketing. But God is so kind because somebody called me to the front of the church and they were just like, hey, they just started prophesying to me about network marketing. And I was just like, what? Because somebody was bringing an opportunity to me and I was afraid to do it, but I was like, here is this thing that God is encouraging me to do. And I get this opportunity to go, okay, I failed at that, but what did I learn there? How can I apply the good and not so good to this current situation so I can make better decisions? Okay. So what I'm basically saying is that you're going to experience fear in your life. It's not going anywhere. There's going to be fear like in so many instances, just like it's always. But if you're going to overcome it, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have more faith, more belief and hope and the good thing happening and less of the bad thing happening. You will have very awareness of the bad thing that could happen, but you're going to have to feed yourself with all the good possibilities more than the negative, because if the negative are outweighing the good, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do the thing that you know that you should do because all the fears outweigh the good. Okay. So I don't care what it is, whether it's marriage, it's kids, it's family, it's starting a business, it's whatever it is, the negative cannot outweigh the positive because like that thing is so strong that you just won't do it. Okay. So you are going to have to feed yourself. That means probably audiobooks, podcasts, books you're reading, even TV shows, people. You got to have way more positive that are going in than the negative, because again, if something is more powerful than the other one, it is just more powerful. It's just the way that it is. And so you got to make the decision. Now, when it comes to self-doubt, it's very much the same, but it is a little bit different. So as it pertains to self-doubt, it's like something is happening on the inside of you. There is something that you believe. There's something that we believe that makes us not believe in ourselves, okay? And what is going to have to happen is that you are going to need to become very self-aware, okay? You're going to have to go on a journey to really unpack you, not your mom or your dad or your boss or your spouse, you. You've got to unpack what is going on with you. Because if you are doubting you, you're doing that for some reason. Okay. So sometimes we find ourselves like dealing with self-doubt because when we were in school, we were bullied, or our teachers, ABC, or our moms and our dads, or our bosses, or whatever. So, like outside circumstances had like beat you down in some type of way to where you do not see yourself the right way, where you don't see yourself as someone that can do a thing or things or multiple things, right? But you have to uncover why that is, okay? I'll give you an example. So my whole life, people have always said, girl, you are just like Oprah. You're going to be just like Oprah. I see you bigger than Oprah. And I'm like, okay, great. But for the longest time, I was just like, I just can't see myself be like Oprah, because like no one has ever told me that I could be great or whatever. Like my mom, my dad, that just was not there. You know, my sister a little bit, my sister closest to me, like a little bit, you know what I mean? She was supportive, but just like not like the big robust world wasn't telling me that I could be great as I was growing up. So the thought to even consider that I could do something bigger than myself, that I could be bigger than myself, bigger than my neighborhood or whatever, is like very foreign, right? And so the more that people kept saying this to me, one day it started to hit me. I am dealing with me. There is something going on with me, and I need to go on a journey unpacking me. Why do I believe what I believe? Why am I doubting myself? What is going on? And it was because here's my family background. Here's where we come from. Here's what we have. Here's what we don't have. You know, all the things, you know, and I was like, there is no way this girl who was raised in Radcliffe, Kentucky could ever go on and be yada, 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 because I had limiting beliefs and self-doubt about myself. And the only way that I have sort of kind of been getting out of that is because I had to start feeding myself the possibilities. I had to start getting around people who could see my greatness. I had to go through a lot of therapy, still in therapy, read a lot of books, listen to a lot of books, listen to a lot of podcasts, and I had to start taking more risks. I had to start things that required me to show up as me and watch how people respond to me. And the more that I have shown up as me and watched how people respond to the me that I am, like the natural me just being me, the more that I am on this journey of believing that like, maybe I am a little bit influential. Maybe people do see me as someone that's inspiring or encouraging to them. Maybe, you know, I even had that moment like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I had an event and there were like 20 something people that showed up, and two amazing ladies drove 2 hours to come and see me. And I was like, y'all came to see me? Y'all drove 2 hours to come see me? And they were like, yes. And I was like, what? Like, it just did not make sense that somebody would do that to experience and see me. But it was in that moment where I said, Keenya, you remember what everybody has always told you. These two ladies are proving to you that you are doing something bigger than yourself. And if you continue doing you, being you, you are going to watch what is going to happen, with your influence, your ability to be able to bring people out of things, your ability to start a movement of helping women become all that God has created them to be if you just continue to show up. But guess what? I had to deal with fear and I had to deal with self-doubt. I still have to deal with fear and self-doubt. When I was trying to host that event, I was like, I sure hope people show up. I'm not sure if anybody's going to show up. I had doubts. And when 27 people showed up, I said, whew. Well, first of all, because the person they bought lunch for everybody, the venue that sponsored it. And I was like, okay, like if I did it once, I can do it again, right? And not just for me, but for people, you know what I mean? So listen, okay, you're going to deal with what you're dealing with. But if you're going to conquer fear and you're going to conquer self-doubt, you got to choose to go on a journey of you. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a little ugly. It may be a little bit painful, but it will be worth it. Okay, so if you have any questions about this, go ahead and just ask me in the comments. I would love to know. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because we have videos that come out every week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.